Let me show you first the best settings in my opinion, and we're gonna go from there. HDR on the game. This game is not supporting any console level calibration for HDR or Windows, which I think is great. And it's probably why this HDR game looks very good. So why 800 and why this brightness on 4? If I change this brightness to 5, the highlight detail is clipping. So what that means is it looks blowing out on the brightest spot. A little bit blowing out. Not a lot. Most people will not notice that. But when you lower that to 4, you definitely see details that are being revealed. And why 800? Because 800 nits, that's what this TV's LG C1 or CX or C2, that's what they can do. So the way you test, you verify that actually this number is working is simple. So this is the default value, okay? So you start here on 500. You raise this to 600, okay, it's brighter. 700, okay, it's brighter. So you go back, you realize that 700 is making it brighter. You go to 800, it's difficult to notice, but it is not being brighter. Actually, what's happening from 700 to 800 is actually this detail here, for example, on the brightest spot. By raising this number, it's actually revealing the detail better. So what is here, by changing from 700 to 800, I see that it looks more clear. And then why the brightest, this adjust brightness, why this on 4 is my choice? Because on 5 I see that I am losing detail here. For example, I am losing detail here and here a little bit. It's very difficult to tell that difference, but once you change it, you will realize that 4 is the correct black level. So this brightness is actually the black level. So that is something that I see is very common on HDR10 implementations. The black level is usually a little bit raised, and usually the colors are a little bit desaturated on HDR10. But these are my settings. This is the way I would play the game if I was not gonna use black frame insertion, which I will. But we're talking about picture quality. So this would be the best picture quality on HDR for Elden Ring. HDR10, brightness on 800, and adjust brightness to 4. So you see this adjust saturation. Most people that are using auto, the color gamut on auto and 55 color saturation, they are going to see HDR10 looks desaturated, and they are going to like to raise this number at least 1 or 2 clicks, okay? But because I am using the color gamut on native, I don't have that problem. So what I am not gonna show you here is the shadow detail, because I am not able to record that well enough with the cell phone. It's too dark. But there's no dark crush. Believe me, there's no problem with the shadow detail. It looks just fine. So let's turn on HLG HDR and see what's the difference and why I say this is my option. So on this game, it's very easy to turn off HDR, and then on the SDR presentation, for example, there's no detail here. I mean, there's no details. Everything looks blown out. Everything is looking blown out. You lost all the detail on that highlight. So we come here to HLG HDR, and we're gonna see this actually a huge difference. 111, 3, 111. We change this. It's a huge difference, okay? But I know that this is HGIG, and HGIG is not the best option for HLG. The best option is dynamic tone mapping off. So the difference between this and the HDR10 presentation is actually, I am clipping a little bit the highlight detail, a little bit. It is clipping a little bit. It is a great presentation, but it is not as bright, and it is clipping a little bit. So just to tell you the numbers, on my measurements, the difference between HDR10 and HLG HDR was from 550 on HDR10 to 490 on HLG HDR. So that's a 60 nits difference. But I can tell you, regardless of how accurate is that measurement, HDR10 looks a lot more impactful on this highlight detail. Okay, so it is clearly the winner, and you can go back and forth on the video and compare the two options and see that, you know, how visible is that on the video. You have to understand that it is almost impossible to show what I am seeing, so you definitely have to rely on my description and then try it for yourself, if you can get to this place, which is, it's gonna be a tough ride. There you go.